Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Triple N Media COVID 19 Pandemic World News. Lately, there has been a heated debate about whether someone should wear mask or not. And in this presentation, we are going to be looking at masks and mask myths unmasked. I don't know if you had a chance to watch some of the spirited debate in Florida about whether people should be wearing masks or not. Let us listen to their side of the argument. Then I'm going to come back and talk about the scientific argument about whether someone should be wearing a mask or not. We want to respect everyone, their opinion, their position, but at the same time, as a scientist, as a doctor, it is my responsibility to educate and inform people as to what are the benefits of wearing a mask and what are the limitations of wearing a mask. We will cover a lot of things.
You literally cannot mandate somebody to wear a mask knowing that that mask is killing people. It literally is killing people. And we the people are waking up, and we know what citizen's arrest is because citizen's arrests are already happening, okay? And every single one of you that are obeying the devil's laws are going to be arrested. And you, doctor, are going to be arrested for crimes against humanity. Every single one of you have a smirk behind that little mask, but every single one of you are going to get punished by God. You cannot escape God. You cannot escape God. I'm going to say that again. You cannot escape God, not even with the mask or 6 feet. Okay? 6 feet, like I said before, is military protocol. You're trying to get the people to train them so when the cameras, the 5G comes out, what? They're gonna scan everybody. We gotta get scanned, we gotta get temperatured. The kids have to go to school with masks. Are you insane? Are you crazy? I think all of you should be in a psych ward right the heck now, because none of you know what the hell you are all talking about. This is insane. And then you want to...
Let us take a look at the magnitude of what the coronavirus pandemic is. A lot of people don't understand this, but I have to tell you that the coronavirus pandemic is real. It hasn't gone away. Almost 9.5 million people all across the globe have coronavirus infection. It has resulted in close to 500,000 deaths. And if you look at places like India, Russia, China, Brazil, and several southern states in the United States are seeing a sudden uprise in the number of cases related to the coronavirus infection. This is long after the lockdown was lifted. There were a number of factors that resulted in a sudden upsurge in the range of 200 to 300% in the number of cases of corona infections in states like Florida, Texas, Arizona, and California. So let us not just diminish the deadly nature of this coronavirus. And the death rate, which were going down all across the globe, are climbing again. So this is real, ladies and gentlemen. This is not a joke. This has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing to do with one particular country. It has nothing to do with what your beliefs are. The question is, do you want to stay alive? The question is, do you want to protect yourself from the coronavirus infection? And I'm going to show you in a couple of slides from now as how you can protect yourself. Let's talk about how is coronavirus spreading from person to person. The coronavirus spreads from one person to the next one who is standing close by or in close proximity by what is known as little droplets. When a person sneezes or coughs, they expel thousands of these little drops which are like 5 to 10 microns in size. And these thousands of drops contain several thousands of coronavirus. If the person who is actively infected, remember, 30 to 40% of the people who have an active coronavirus infection have no symptoms. They have not been tested. They don't even know they have coronavirus infection. And these are the people in the community who are walking around, who are interacting with you, and those are the people you need to be concerned about. And since you don't know who are the people who have an active coronavirus infection, who are the people who don't have active coronavirus infection, it makes sense to protect yourself the best way you can. Now let's look at this chart a little further to understand why it is important for everyone to wear a face mask. This is based on scientific data. If a person who is infected, whether he or she has the symptoms or not, and if they cough or sneeze, they are going to infect several people around them. Each patient with a coronavirus infection can infect up to 3 people who are in close proximity to them. On the other hand, if a person who is having an infection doesn't wear a mask, but you, as a prudent, educated, knowledgeable citizen, wear a mask, the risk gets slightly less. On the other hand, let's add a mask on a person who is having an active corona infection. He may not know or she may not know, but if they wear a mask, then it reduces the risk of spreading the coronavirus to a medium range. Now we have gone from a very high risk of developing coronavirus to a medium range. Now look at it. If everybody wears a mask, a person who has infection, a person who has no symptoms, a person who has already had a coronavirus infection, and a person who has never been tested, who doesn't know he has coronavirus infection or not, and a person who doesn't have coronavirus infection, if both wear a mask, then the risk is extremely low. And maintaining 6 feet distance also reduces the risk of these droplets from reaching the person, so it reduces the risk to be very minimal. So a combination of maintaining physical distance and everyone wearing a mask helps a great deal in reducing the spread of the coronavirus infection. And this is a situation which we had for 6 to 8 weeks, where everyone was quarantined in their homes. This was a lockdown situation. That's why we were able to bring down those numbers during the lockdown situation. But once the lockdowns were lifted, especially in states like Florida, Texas, Arizona, and California, the numbers started to rise dramatically. And the reasons were, one, early lifting of lockdown situations. The second is exposure of these people without face masks and physical distance in places like nightclubs, bars, beaches, and in family gatherings. And those are the things that might have been responsible for creating a sudden uprise in the number of cases to a tune of 100, 200, 300% of what those numbers were in the month of March and April. So let us not forget this. This coronavirus is real. This is a disease that is affecting the entire world, not just the United States. It has nothing to do with the laws or politics or ordinances in a given city or a state or a country. It has to do with the law of physics. It has to deal with the law of science. Let's look at it here. Coronavirus can spread, one person who is infected can spread it to 2 or 3 people. And now imagine this person is having no mask and the other people are not having mask, as people are arguing they don't want to wear a mask. Now this person is going to spread the infection to 2 people. These people are going to spread it to 4. 4 is going to turn into 16. 16 is going to turn into 32, 64, and the number is going to exponentially increase to a point where one person who is infected spreads the virus to people around him who doesn't want to wear a mask. In 5 days, he can spread it to like 2.5 people, but in 30 days, this infection could be spreading to as many as 400 people. We are talking about just one person. And imagine if there are thousands of people like this who are spreading infection to other groups of people. That can explain a sudden rise in the number of cases, 2, 3, 400% in the states I have been talking about. So what can we do about this? What is the scientific evidence that wearing a mask really helps? That's a good point. I will tell you there are several countries like Japan, Austria, Czechoslovakia, South Korea, and Hong Kong, all of which instituted 100% mask from the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic. And most of these countries have mortalities which are less than 10% of what we are seeing here in the United States. So please don't take it lightly. Wearing a mask is very simple. Like you have seen it so many places and so many times that if you don't like wearing a mask, I'm sure you don't like having a tube in your throat and being on a ventilator. That is not a very pleasant sight for you, your family members, your children, and your loved ones. It is a serious situation. You may be asking, why should I wear a mask? Because the mask only protects the other person. Exactly, you are absolutely right. When you wear a mask, you are protecting the other people from getting the infection from you. But when you are in a group, when you are on a beach, you don't know how many people have active infection. And I told you, 30 to 50% of those people may have no symptoms. When they are coughing, sneezing, and hacking, and you're standing next to them, you have a very high chance of getting the virus. So by wearing a mask by yourself, you're protecting other people from getting the infection. And by asking your friends to wear the mask, you make sure you don't get the infection from the other people. So when you cut off the spread of these droplets from both directions, the risk of getting a coronavirus infection is very small. And think about it. If you wear a mask, and especially if you have an infection, you can be preventing all your family members from potentially getting the coronavirus infection. When you are wearing a mask, you are also sending a message to all the other family members that they also need to take this very seriously, because this is a serious pandemic. This has increased the number of admissions to the hospitals, number of ICUs, and with the new surge of cases, we have seen 20 to 40% of the admissions are among the patients with the age group 20 to 40. So when all your family members wear the mask, the risk of spreading the infection is very, very small. And if you wear the mask and when you go to a public place, you are sending a strong message that you believe in protecting yourself. You believe in expecting others to wear a mask so that you can be protected and they can be protected. A lot of you argue on religious basis that, well, I don't need to be wearing a mask. It is my right not to wear the mask and all these things. Well, if God is telling you that it is good for you to wear a mask to prevent the spread of infection, and we know from other countries where they are wearing masks, 100% of the population, the risk of infection is low. I think the simplest thing we can do is just wear a mask, because we want to protect ourselves and we want to protect others from getting the coronavirus infection. I mean, this is the essence of what the mask is for. This is the essence of how we can slow down the spread of coronavirus. This is the essence of buying time until such time maybe we have a vaccine which can cure this coronavirus. So let us be serious about ourselves, if not about others, in terms of protecting ourselves with a simple mask. Yes, the other person needs to wear the mask, But if I wear the mask, I think I'm inspiring other people to wear the mask who are around me. I mean, that is a message. I hope this has been helpful to you. I am Dr. NIK NIKAM. I have produced a lot of videos on educating the public about the coronavirus and its pandemic. You can watch my other videos, and please do subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you next time. And God bless you.